Texting. We are back. Segment 2, all things Boston Celtics. 18, boys and girls. 8 motherfucking teen. And it was...
They're legal.
They're legal now.
Celtics championships can vote.
Yeah, they can vote now. That is the Rattle one. Thomas J. High Question 1. Audrey Miliaccio. Segment 2. IDD, for those you know, I don't disagree. Boston Celtics get the job done.
They do.
Cross the finish line. Silence the critics. I mean, literally, silence the critics. And Tatum and Brown proved everyone wrong. Don't give up on them. And they are just entering their prime, and the fact that they are brothers and they don't give a shit is probably the scariest thing about them. Segment 2. Now we heard this before the series, and you actually brought this to my attention because, and Stephen A. Smith wasn't the first guy who said it, but he had a little top 5 greatest offensive backcourts of all time and all this bullshit. And Stephen A. Smith had to do something today that I don't think he wanted to do. He had to recant his top 5. He took Luka and Kyrie. He thought they'd close the deal because he picked the Mavs. He took them out. He moved Boston. He moved Kuzi and Sam Jones up to 4. They've only got 6 titles, but whatever. And then I
don't know anything about Sam Jones.
You know who Bob Cousy is? The greatest plumber of all time. Going to Mr. Reddick, that donkey. Yeah, you need to go to L.A. You fucking belong there, you donkey. But he took Kyrie and Luka out of the top 5, and he moved Walt Frazier and Earl the Pearl, the original Black Jesus, in there. Fitting. They got 2 championships, deserving. He had Kuzi and Jones at 4. He had, and again, I thought they should have been higher. They got 6. But he has Isaiah and Dumars at 3, Magic and Scott at 2. And then he has, who was the, Kyrie, not Kyrie, Klay Thompson and Steph Curry at 1.
Can you count Jordan and Pippen or no? Because
no,
Jordan's
Pippen,
not.
Jordan's a 2, Pippen's a 3. Not greatest duo, greatest backcourts.
Oh, I thought that was reversed. I thought Pippen was a 2.
Yeah, no, Pippen was a 3. Jordan was a 2. So he backed him up. Now look, the question was this, and we're gonna dig into this, but I wanted, and I just wanted his take on this because Kyrie Irving in Dallas anyway averaged 28 points a game in the finals, but then he had to go to Boston, and in 3 games. He averaged just around 14 points on 34% shooting, 3 no-shows, and Stephen A. Smith said, and I quote, because he's been there before, he says, there's something about that Boston Celtics fan base. He goes, I remember Magic Johnson, 84, having 3 turnovers, and Magic has said it, Draymond Green has said it, that Boston Celtics fan base, not only they are rabid. And the term he used, and this is when you know it's good because this is when my wife said he's the black you. The word he used, or the words he used to describe what the Celtics fans did to Kyrie Irving in 3 games was, it was a tsunami of venom. And I got to tell you, talk about weaving a tapestry of just, and he nailed it. Kyrie Irving was reduced to another player. Yeah, he's a first ballot Hall of Famer. He looked like another player. They were in his head. They've been in his head. It's the one mountain he can't conquer. He has no wins since he stomped on the logo in Boston. He is now 0-12 in Boston since he stepped on Lucky.
And he was talking about it too. He was admitting that there was a mental block there.
This is why I kept trying to explain that the Boston Celtics fans are not to be trifled with.
Well, did you see?
But Stephen A. Smith, this is how he nailed it. Before he said that, the line I'll never forget, and my wife was like, "Oh my God, he's you." And, the tsunami of venom. Okay, he said, "Here's the thing, Magic. These guys do this for a game, or whatever. But eventually, okay, fine." He's like, Kyrie Irving, this has been 10, 12 games in a row. He's like, but here's the thing. He's like, Kyrie Irving here's the difference. He was a Celtic. But then he stood there and he brought this up with a microphone and said, I'll stay if you'll have me. And then he snuck off in the middle of the night to go to Brooklyn, a New York team with KD, Kevin Durant, who the Celtics also tried to court in 2016, and he shunned them. And the Celtics fans have never forgotten him, and they treat him, and this is what Stephen A's words were, they treat him like a traitor. And that's exactly Finally, somebody nailed it. That's exactly how we look at him. He's a traitor.
Yeah, maybe he feels like that.
And he does. This is what Stephen A. says. Kyrie Irving is not a pariah. He's actually not a bad dude. He's like, but he realizes now he scorned that fan base, and they are never going to let him forget it. And he's like, the booze in that place. And I was there for all 3 of these. I have never heard anything like that. He's like, it wasn't racism. It was hate. It was just hate. It was like, you turned your back on us. We loved you.
There might have been some racism in there.
Was there probably some donkey from the Berkshires who got a ticket and called him used the N-word? Probably. I don't care about the one.
Calling him N-worded?
Would it surprise me if one guy got in there and said that? Sure. No, it wouldn't.
Yeah.
Because there's racism everywhere.
Of course. No, well, I mean,
you think there's racism in Texas?
We live in Richmond, Virginia.
Yeah.
I mean,
go to Amelia. He'll tell you about Amelia. Yeah. Okay. The Confederate flag is on the front lawn.
There was one point where, remember when Kyrie saved that ball and jumped into the stands for no reason?
Yep.
I mean, he was saving it to the Celtics and dove into the stands and took out some guy working for ABC. And Mike Breen said, somebody said something inappropriate to him while he was in the stands.
Yep.
I can't remember how he described it. And I wondered what was said to him. But regardless, it was in his head.
They've been in his head.
But more than that, those dudes are just too big for him. When you got big defenders that can move just as quick as Kyrie,
who aren't afraid of him.
Man, they're
not afraid of him.
He just couldn't. Every shot he took was a difficult shot.
He had no space. The girl, what's her name, Andrea there, was going, I've played
Carter.
the position. There, every time he got the ball, there was no gap to get into. They knew he had it. They locked in on him. He was not going to do a thing.
Yeah.
He was not going to do a thing.
And then he would get switched on Horford, and Horford moved well enough.
Because Horford knew he had help.
Yeah.
He's like, I just got to slide 2 steps, and I got somebody there waiting. Because that's how good the defense is.
Yeah.
And as someone who won Defensive Player of the Year in college multiple times for the league and won it in high school for the state of Massachusetts, I know defense. And when you watch those 5 together when they're locked in, it was like watching the 08 Celtics all over again. You're not getting anything they don't want you to get.
Yeah.
And they locked down on the shooters on the corner because Dallas was big about corner threes. They took those things away. And they said, go ahead, Luka, go get your 30. Nobody gives a fuck. You're going to deal with Jaylen Brown all night. Okay?
Right.
Have at it. Good luck with that, motherfucker.
You're going to be pissed by
by the way, you're going to deal with a Jaylen Brown who felt he got snubbed. Good luck, Luka. Yeah. Enjoy. Okay? And Luka was alone.
Yeah.
They basically took out his wingman and like, no, you're alone. Yeah. It's you against this team, and you are fucked. It doesn't matter what you do. Luka had 28 points on 27 shots. And he also had a boatload of turnovers. Okay, because they didn't care if he got his 20 or 30. It wasn't going to matter. And no other team other than the Knicks are really equipped to do this. But even the Knicks don't have 4 guys, to his point, like that. Yeah. But that's a tsunami. A venom, Thomas, Jay.
I got to stop with this, my God.
I know, you're not.
It's killing my throat.
He's just not Red Auerbach, boys and girls.
It's killing my throat.
It's okay. You're in New York. It's all right. Well, forgive.
Fuck you.
but you watch Kyrie Irving in this series, and look at the end. I want to give Kyrie some credit here for as fake as I think he is. He did something at the end that he was a man about. He went over. He hugged Tatum. He hugged Brown. He hugged Mazzulla. He hugged everybody on that bench.
Yeah,
he didn't have to do that. Yeah. He didn't have to do that, and he did it. And I think there's 2 reasons why he did it. 1, he is growing up. And 2, he realizes, and he said it on Saturday, look, I did this to myself. I should have been more, if I had to do it again, I probably would have handled it differently. Because they want you. But he called it a cult. It's not a cult. Every great fan base is not a cult. They're a great fan base. The Yankees fan base is not a cult. They're fanatics. Every great fan base.
They're a little crazy.
Are the Mets fans a cult? No, they have a great fan base. They're loyal.
Nut jobs.
Well, you're right. Short for fanatical.
Yeah.
But the Boston Celtics, they're on another level. And Stephen A. Smith was very, very open and kept hitting it. I've seen that fan base rattle the great. He said the greatest punk I've ever seen measured was they rattled him in '80. They rattled him. He's like, and Draymond Green said, those motherfuckers. That fan base is crazy. He goes, they're special. They're different. And they are, because they're knowledgeable and they're loyal. And but again, Kyrie was a Celtic. That's the difference. They see him, I see him, and it's funny, I never put that word out there, but that's how we see him. He's a traitor. Yeah. He could have won championships in Boston if he had the right attitude. And every Celtic fan knows it. And that's why they'll never forgive him for it. Never. And he felt it. He feels it. And so when I say to you that fan base is different, go watch Kyrie Irving in those 3 games and don't tell me how they're not different. Oh, they are. Every sense of the word. But to his credit, and I've been very hard on Kyrie because of what he did to me and our fans. What he did at the end was class. I don't think it was rehearsed. I think he realized in that moment, you know what? I got to be a man about this and do the right thing. And he did.
He had a good year.
He had a great year. He had a great year.
In terms of how he came across, which, to me, players, they don't have to give a shit about that because they're just playing a game.
No.
But I think he made a concerted effort, in his press conferences.
Yeah.
He came across pretty honest and upfront.
I think he did for the most part. There was still some Kyrie that snuck in there.
Well, and also just based on everything that's gone on, you question the authenticity sometimes.
Because he's not usually authentic.
Right.
And again, he did this to himself.
Yeah. But I mean, he was consistent all year in his approach, in what he talked about.
Yeah.
And watching him on the court, he didn't come across as a dick.
No.
He played hard. Even when he was getting his ass handed to him.
He didn't quit.
He
didn't quit.
No.
I don't think he quit. And this is where you look at, because they asked this question: was it more Kyrie was in it? Was it more Kyrie was in his own head, or was it this all-time great Celtics defense that finished first team ever, finished in the top 5 in offensive and defensive efficiency? They're an all-time great team. They really are. They had the second greatest postseason run in Celtic history.
They did it to him.
Yeah,
they did it.
But on top of them, there was this fan base on top of it.
Sure.
That had any other player done what Kyrie did, it would have probably been the same thing. Kyrie is a shot maker. And when I say he's a shot maker, he's an all-time great shot maker.
He's clutch.
Kyrie Irving makes shots when there isn't a shot there. Mm-hmm. And if you don't believe me, go back and look at the tape of the game winner on Denver of all people, Jokic, a left hit from 15 feet.
Or look at the Game 7 against Golden State, in Golden State, when he hits that 3.
In Steph Curry's face.
Oh, my God.
From 30 feet.
When LeBron's the man, and he goes, yeah, I'll take this shot.
No.
He wins the fucking series.
No one has ever questioned Kyrie Irving's talent. No one has ever questioned his skill. It's always been between the ears with him. But he's 32 now. He's had some time to reflect. He went to Brooklyn, and that thing blew up right in his face. And he went to Dallas.
I hated the way he left Brooklyn.
Well, I hated the way he left Boston.
Yeah.
But it was consistent. He left Cleveland the same way to go to Boston. But actually, that was a trade. He didn't want to come to Boston.
He just wanted out of Cleveland.
He wanted out of Cleveland.
Yeah.
But he didn't realize what he had.
Exactly.
And back then, Boston was the favorite because of him and Gordon Hayward. They were the favorite to win the title, and they didn't because the first year he gets hurt, they go to the conference finals. Mm-hmm. The next year he comes back, they lose in the second round, then he leaves.
Yeah.
No, you should have stayed and finished it. Right. But he didn't. And that's why the Celtic fans will never forgive him for it, because he lied to them. And then he called them racist. Oh, that's a good move. Ask Tatum and Brown if the Boston fans are racist. Ask Robert Parrish. Ask Cedric Maxwell, who never buys a drink or a meal in this town anymore. He won 2 championships in Boston. He won a Finals MVP in '81. But Cedric Maxwell was beloved in Boston. Okay? And Cedric Maxwell was the guy who brought up the reverse racist thing about Larry Bird. He goes, Larry Bird was the first time the brothers admitted that, shit, there's a white guy that's as good as us. Cedric Maxwell is the one who brought that up. He's like, we were racist against white players. We never thought white players were good. And Larry Bird changed the whole fucking thing. He goes, I remember guarding him. I was the first one to guard him. He's raining 25-footers on me. And I'm like, this motherfucker can play. And he had to go tell everybody, this fucking white boy is no joke. It was like, Maxwell tells that story. But he's beloved in Boston. Okay? And he's from Charlotte, North Carolina. Yeah. So, I mean, It's not a racist thing. Look, there's going to be a dick in every crowd. I don't care where you go.
No, and to your point, there's racism.
It's everywhere. And I wish it was. Look, I wish it wasn't. And I said to him on this show once upon a time that we have to be the ones to end this. It's not on African Americans to end it. It's on us. Yeah. We've got to not just educate our children that don't judge a book by its cover. Judge the, what do they say? The great line from your favorite movie. And Yo said it. You taught me how to trust the soul of a man rather than the look of him. That is one of the greatest lines in that movie. I don't care if it was real or fabricated. There's nothing truer than that. You never judge a book by its cover. You judge a person by what's in their heart, not by what they look like. That's bullshit. Because everybody looks different. But internally, we're all the same.
Yeah.
And that line by Coach Yoji, you taught me how to trust the soul of a man rather than the look of him.
Yeah.
That is the truest thing.
But see, I think sometimes what happens is, look, if there's a fan base that's majority white, which Boston is. And they hate a player.
And he happens to be African American.
Like, sometimes it feels like, damn, like, where is this venom? Like,
it's venom.
Sometimes
it's venom.
Sometimes, like, without context, you see things and you go, God damn, that seems like it's bigger than just basketball.
But in Kyrie's case, it was.
Sure.
Because he lied.
Right.
Because he was black.
But it was about a basketball thing. What I think sometimes you don't realize is that people are so fanatical about sports.
They are.
They get caught up in this shit and, like, truly hate a man or a person because of some sports shit. But sometimes when you look from the outside, you're like, God damn. There's got to be some racial shit in there for somebody to hate that much. A lot of times it's just the fanaticism that is sports creating that kind of animosity, which is almost like illogical. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? But that's
right.
fandom.
That's fandom.
That is fandom.
But let me ask you a question, because to me, because he knows baseball the way I know football and basketball. I can think of, I don't know how many fan bases that hate Barry Bonds.
Yeah.
Is it because he's black? No. Because he's a great player, and he's often doing it, putting his team, whipping their team's ass. He's a 7-time MVP. Mm-hmm. And he was a 3-time MVP before he got on the roids, and he would have been, to me, I'll never forgive Barry Bonds for this, because he could have been the greatest player ever, and because he has that thing, he didn't need the roids. He was a 3-time league MVP before he did that. He didn't need to do it. In an era of Barry Bonds, in the era of steroids, was still the best player in baseball.
Yeah, but see,
he didn't need to do it.
But a lot of what I've heard about Barry Bonds is he felt like he was taking a back seat to players who were not as good as him that were on roids.
Yeah, but everybody that knew baseball knew it. It's funny. You ask any guy who knows baseball, Barry Bonds was the best player in the world before he did that shit. And everybody around him was already doing it. It didn't matter. He was still the best player in baseball.
But I will say this. I think there is some racism when it comes to...
There still is.
A black man being the best ever.
Why?
Because that's how racism works.
No, I know that. But I'm saying, to me, while there's still racism in this country, it is much better now than it was 50 years ago. If you could pull Bill Russell out of the grave... Talk to Bill Russell about what he went
worse
through.
Back then.
Way worse.
I mean, dude, in the fucking 60s, the laws were still...
Bill Russell won 11 titles in Boston. And somebody broke into his house and took a shit on his kitchen counter. And that's why Boston gets the rap. And I got to ask you, if I could wrap my hands around the throat of the motherfuckers that did that, I would kill them myself. I would fucking kill them myself. And it's not because Bill Russell's the greatest basketball player ever. That's not it.
Yeah.
It's not because he was a Celtics, because that's just fucking wrong.
Yeah.
And if someone did it to Barry Bonds, much as I can't stand Barry Bonds, that's fucking wrong.
Yeah. But
you can be a fan, and I get that. That's crossing the line.
That's ridiculous.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah. But I think, for people, when you think about, like, if that was your family member, if you were... a black person, like, you might always just think that of that fan base forever. Yeah. Because shit like that that's a stain.
And by the way, the people that did that to Bill Russell weren't Celtics fans. They weren't. I would almost bet my life on it.
Well, if they were Celtics fans, they were racist before Celtics.
They were racist before Bill Russell ever showed up. Bill Russell didn't bring that out of them. That was already there. Okay? So...
But it is crazy because I remember... I remember talking to somebody in my family, not a blood member in my family, somebody who married one of my cousins.
Yeah.
And they called a player on the Mets the N-word. And I was fucking shocked.
This is in New York.
This is in New York.
Okay, so it's everywhere. It's everywhere. It's everywhere.
Yeah, it's everywhere. Of course it's everywhere. I think it's funny when people talk about the South and say, oh, it's racist down there.
It's racist everywhere.
Okay. In the South, typically you can see the racism from people are fucking outright racist.
Yeah, they don't even hide it.
You know, which in some aspects is better because you know where you stand. In New York, a lot of it is silent. It's in the house.
It's hidden.
It's
hidden in Boston.
And it's nasty.
It's hidden in Boston.
You know,
it is. It's still there in places.
Right.
Not as many, but it's still there.
Nobody's hanging a Confederate flag.
Yeah. No, not in
But,
Boston.
you know, around the dinner table, it could be real nasty.
It can.
And I remember there was this. We had this player, Lastings Millage. Mm-hmm. He was a young prospect, black guy, you know, and he came up and he struggled, you know, and he was a little flashy, and you know, they called him the N-word, and I was so shocked, like, because I have such a love for the Mets, like I couldn't imagine that, like, if you love the Mets, how you could ever say that about, you know,
a guy wearing the damn uniform,
right? A guy wearing the, you know, which is in a way is a little ridiculous because regardless of that, you should
you shouldn't either way.
The N-word should never even be there.
Never.
But I remember them hearing that and being like, God damn. Like, so that was superseding their racism was in front of their fandom. You know, which makes sense because that's who you are.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? That racist. Yeah. And I remember saying, oh yeah, you should fly a Confederate flag. And he looked at me like, why would you say something like that? And I was like, well, why would you say something like you just
say
said?
What you just said?
You know,
in front of other people,
right?
Like it's okay.
It was just like, you know, so yeah, there is racism everywhere, and it's sad.
It's terrible. It's terrible. It was terrible 60 years ago, and it's terrible now. Mm-hmm. And I want to be clear here when I say this, because we're talking about Kyrie Irving. Kyrie Irving, listen, if you ever see this tape, I don't hate you because you're black. I hate you because you turned your back on me and the fans that really wanted you to stay. I wanted you to stay. You're a Duke guy. Whether or not I don't care about how that went down. But the thing is, you're a great basketball player. And if I had a vote in the Hall of Fame, you'd get it on the first ballot. I would vote you in on the first ballot, regardless of what I think of you, because you're that fucking good. But I will say this, as much as I am enjoying them winning a title at your expense. In fact, the joke came out, Kyrie Irving finally helped Boston win a championship. And that was funny, and I laughed at it. And again, I still don't trust half the shit that comes out of your mouth. What you did last night was class. And I'm not going to forget that. And I hope at some point, now that we've won a championship, maybe now we can get over it. And that's part of it.
I was wondering if, like, at some point, they would cheer him or something.
I'm not going to speak for all Celtics fans because that's not fair. But I will tell you this. Because, look, I'll probably never forgive them for that. But now that they have won a championship.
That's what they won.
They won. To me, that was the hurdle that had to get over. Yeah. I'm not saying that they're ever going to boo him every time they see him from now on out. But I can tell you from the real Celtics fans, and again, there's a lot of, I know a lot of people that were there last night. Most of them are white. None of them give a shit what color you are. They give a shit that you walked away from the green when you could have done this in green and you could have been immortalized because you could have. And that's it's satisfaction in a way, but it's disappointing because he could have done this. Yeah. Him and Tatum and Brown together? Oh, for Christ's sake. Oh, my God. You imagine him with Tatum and Brown right now? Oh, Christ. I mean, and I'm not knocking Holiday or White. I wouldn't trade those two for anything in the world.
Maybe it wouldn't have worked.
Well, it wouldn't have worked.
Because you kind of need those other guys.
No,
you know what I mean?
Kyrie has worked with Luka.
That's true.
He has been. He is growing up.
Sacrificed.
Forget what he says. I've always said I don't care what a person says. I watch what a person does. He did a great thing this year. And the reason the Mavericks got where they got was because of what he did. Luka's always been great. Luka's never got to the finals. Okay, Kyrie Irving did the right thing this year. He showed up. He went to work. He kept his head down. He said all the right things. He embraced Luka, and he was willing to do that, and because he understood it's about winning now. And again, maybe it took that going through all that. I don't know, but he's there. And again, I don't know how many years he has left, but if the Mavericks do this right, the Dallas Mavericks aren't going anywhere. They're going to be a contender next year too. They got to add a couple of pieces, but they've got the room to do it. And I wouldn't be
I've
surprised.
been hearing people say that. I don't know if I believe that.
What? That they aren't going anywhere?
No, well, because like I saw a headline. I didn't read the article, but they were like, "Don't worry, Dallas, your championship contender status is still there."
Well, it's there, but again, Denver's not going anywhere. Minnesota's not going anywhere. The only thing that's going to happen with OKC is they're going to get older, which would be great because then half of them can drink.
Yeah.
Because none of them can even buy a beer right now. But no, they're going to be right in the mix.
I guess the thing about Dallas, okay, so seeing them against Boston.
Well, this is the thing.
It's tough because they looked like shit.
But that's Boston.
Right. That's because Boston has the guys to defend them.
Boston did
Most
this to
teams don't have that.
And even Denver in the games they won, they it was 102 to 100 and 105 to 102, and it was like Boston played like shit in those games, and they were right there. But the thing is, that Dallas team is not going to be a 5 seed next year if they're healthy. They're not. They're one of the top 3 teams in the West right now. Denver has another problem, by the way, and that is that Caldwell Pope he's not going to exercise his player option. He's going to be a free agent. And Wendy's right about this. There are 10 teams that are going to line up to get that guy. He's a starter. Denver loses him. He's a starter.
Their GM needs to step up.
They already lost their bench, and that fucked them this year. Because I mean, look, the matchup everybody really wants to see is Boston-Denver. Yeah. Let's be honest here. But if Denver doesn't,
I'd rather see the Knicks and.
Well, I know, and you should want that, and again, I was relieved the Knicks lost in a way. Part of me wanted to see them because I said to him, if Denver was on the other side still there, the Knicks would have been
the test.
Would have been the test to get them ready for a team like Denver. So it was, to me, it was like. But when Denver got eliminated, they'll get the Knicks out of here. Fuck this. I don't want to deal with them. Okay, I was like, because I don't want to deal with it because I respect them and I love their game.
Because of that, there was part of me that wanted you guys to lose this thing.
Tom, I can't believe you were rooting for Boston.
I told you why.
You can respect a team and not like them. It's okay. Okay,
No,
I don't like the Knicks, but I respect them.
No,
okay.
But see, here's the thing.
In fact, I
told
fear
you. I care about you. Okay. And
it's not about me.
Yes, it is.
No, it is not.
Yes, it is. This is your team, dude.
The Knicks are your team,
right? And if they were playing Boston, I'd root against Boston.
No, but
dude, I actually
your
root
father.
For the Patriots
for the first time, I'm gonna criticize your father. Rule 1 in New York: you hate everything Boston.
No, my dad was never like that.
He should be.
He was a Mets fan.
I'm talking about as a sports fan.
He was a Mets-Jets fan.
Your father. You tell me your father was rooting for the Celtics last night.
He wasn't rooting against them.
He wasn't rooting for him, though. He shouldn't have been.
Well, he heard me. He goes, "Oh, you're rooting for Boston?"
Yeah. All right. Okay. I take it back.
No,
his dad's right.
But my dad never hated Boston. We weren't Yankees fans.
That's part of it. Yeah. That's
Yankee. If you're a Yankees fan, you hate Boston.
But he's a Jets fan, so he hates the Patriots.
Yeah. But I don't know. The Patriots aren't Boston.
Yeah, they are.
They're New England.
They used to be the Boston Patriots. They used to play in Fenway Park.
When?
In the 60s and 70s. They played in Fenway Park.
Well,
listen, he wasn't...
Jets came around in the 60s. They
well,
sucked.
Joe Namath is an icon because nothing's happened since Joe Namath. But the thing is...
That's what I mean. Who can you really hate if you're a Jets fan?
No, in your case where you were born after all that, I can get you. No. Your dad, though, went through all that. So, no, I get your dad in that sense. I'm just saying that if he had come in here, if he had come in here and rooted for Dallas, I wouldn't have been mad at him for that. I would have expected it because he's from New York. If you're in New York, you don't want Boston to win anything.
I'm not in New York.
You are. You were born there.
Dude, I'm a Virginian who happens to have New York sports teams. I've been in Virginia since I was 8.
That qualifies.
but it's different. You know what I'm saying? Because when you're in New York, you're closer to Boston. There's probably more Massachusetts people up there.
No, they totally are. I'm just saying that your friend. Look, what the fuck is behind you?
Okay, so I'm happy for you.
I mean, it's all.
Dude, you and I talk sports all the time.
No, we do.
We
watch sports.
I start to follow your team. You know what I'm saying? Like, you start to look at the Mets.
Full disclosure, I watched the Mets tonight.
Yeah, I mean,
and I was kind of. Don't get mad at me. I was kind of pulling for this. They weren't playing the Red Sox.
Right, but exactly. I would never root against my team for your team.
He's been very mad at. Well, but they're not playing Boston. But the thing is, look, And they're in your case, in my case, they're in the dam of the league. They won't see the Red Sox unless they're in the World Series. But the thing is, like the Mets they've won 7 in a row. So I was happy for him because I'm like, we might have something to talk about until football starts because the Mets are making a push, and so are the Red Sox, ironically. But no, like I was watching the Mets tonight. I was pulling for the Mets tonight because of him. I will say that. But it's not like I want to see them win a World Series, but I want them to be good because I know if they're good, he's going to have something to look forward to until the fucking Giants fuck up his fall.
Exactly. But here's the other part. I'm not rooting for fucking Luka.
Well, this is
my God.
Luka's hateable.
I wasn't. Well, yeah, and
I used to like Luka, and forget
Luka, Kyrie together.
In my case, I really have a reason to hate them. But I mean, the thing is, like, I liked Luka until he pointed out something that I really wasn't paying attention to. And again, as a former ball player, old school player, I would never look at the ref. My father taught me, he goes, look, if you're going to get caught up in what the Zebras are going to do, you're never going to be a champ. You're never going to win a fucking thing.
If you're complaining about the refs, your head is not in the game.
Your head's not in the game. No.
And that's all he fucking did this
By
playoffs.
the way, you know who had the greatest line I've heard in a long time, ironically, today?
Doris.
And I'm kind of biased because I have a thing for this girl. Molly Karam. Molly Karam said something tonight.
Kind of Molly Karam?
On the First Take. Stephen A's host. The dark
Molly Karam. I like her. She's a good host. I
love Molly. She's from Connecticut. She's kind of funny because she's from Connecticut.
I like her because she always goes at Stephen.
Well, that too.
And she takes a lot of shit.
But she gives it back.
Yeah.
You can tell she's a New Englander because she gives it right back to him. Mm. But like Molly Karam said something tonight that to me it was genius. She goes, look, because they were talking about Kyrie Irving. She goes, and they were all talking about how Kyrie was in his head because of about the Celtic fans, how they got on him and he couldn't handle it. And he couldn't. Look at the tape. He has not, since he's the worst, forget leaving, stepping on that logo. Oh.
That was just dumb.
That comes up every time the Celtics beat them. No matter where.
Yeah, and if I was a Knicks fan, he did that in the Garden or something.
Yeah, I'd hate him too. You'd hate him too. And that's before you get the fact that he was actually, if he was a Knick and left them, if he did it to the Knicks, he'd hate him too. But I mean, Molly Karam goes, look, if you're in your head, you're dead.
That's a good point.
That's a great, and even Stephen A. Smith turned around and goes, shit. That was impressive.
That was a good line.
Molly Karam, if you're in your head, you're dead. I'm going to use that. If you're in your head, you're dead. And Kyrie was in his head because...
Especially if you're playing a team that's better than you.
Well, you're playing a team, like that. But here's the thing. Some people have said that Kyrie and Luka choked. They did not choke. They ran into a buzzsaw.
They were just outmatched.
I don't think they were outmatched. They ran into the best team in the league. That was not only the best team in the league, but they were equipped to deal with them.
It was plain to see.
Which is what I said before the series started, that this is a bad matchup for Dallas.
Yeah.
It just was.
Yeah.
And it wasn't Kyrie Irving's fault in that regard. And somebody said, well, what if they were playing Philly? Or what if they were playing Milwaukee? Would this? No, he would have lit them up. Because if you look at what he did to Minnesota, who was statistically the best defensive team in the league, Boston was number 2, he destroyed Minnesota. He destroyed them.
Who, Luka?
No, Kyrie. Kyrie destroyed Minnesota. He averaged he killed them. They had no answer for him.
Well, Anthony Edwards couldn't guard him.
He couldn't guard him. But Jrue Holiday could. And Derek White could.
Look at everybody on the
and
fucking
Jason
Celtics.
Tatum could. And Derek...
Porzingis? Horford? They all fucking did it.
People don't talk about this enough. And it was... Honestly, there was one play. It's funny you mentioned Horford. There's one play that summed up this whole fucking series. And it was Game 3. When Luka went out. They're down 3 points. And they've got the ball. And Kyrie comes down and they run this high screen and roll. And Horford, who is 38, by the way, gets caught in the switch.
6'10"?
And he's 6'10", and he's a great defensive player. And he's not Kevin Garnett, but he's a great defensive player. And Kyrie Irving comes off to the right and talk about a tough fucking shot. Horford is right there. He is shooting a 3 to tie the game. And Horford, when you look at it from behind, Kyrie can't even see the rim.
Yeah.
Because Horford is right fucking there. And it goes off, he misses it. And that switch, that play right there was the series. Because if Kyrie hits that shot, it's tied. But he couldn't even see the rim because of Horford, because of his defense.
He switched onto him
Several
at least 3 times a game.
Yeah.
And every time forced him into a tough shot.
There really isn't And again, I point to that game winner he hit left-handed on Jokic. Jokic is not the defender Horford is.
No.
And Kyrie lit him up.
Jokic can't move like that.
He can't move like that. But Horford can, and he's smart. And this is why the Celtics are what they are. For everything we talk about, the three-point shooting and the offense that can just rain threes on you and all this crap, which, by the way, only happened really once in the whole series, and they won in 5, which is even really scarier. They won with defense. They won this championship on defense and team defense. And they moved and just – so, again, it was Jaylen Brown because he was the catalyst for it. He's like, I got Luka, and I'm going to stay on him until he either quits or goes down, whatever the fuck happens first. But I got him. That's leadership, too. That sets a tone. And that's why Jaylen Brown won the Finals MVP because he set the tone. He's like, I'm gonna I got this guy. You worry about everybody else. I got him. How many guys would fucking do that to Luka Doncic, by the way? Okay, so Jaylen Brown to me, and by the way, this was my question to you, and this came up. They were asking if Tatum's a top 5 player. He made All-NBA first team 3 years in a row. I'd say that it's safe to say that he is. Okay, and he proved it. He was the best player in the world last night. But where is Jaylen Brown right now? And Stephen A. Smith said top 15. Thought he should have made it. 15? I think he's top 10 right now. I think he won the Larry Bird Trophy, and then he won the Bill Russell Trophy.
He's right there with Tatum.
He's top 10. No, Tatum is still a better shooter, better passer. Offensively, he's better. Yeah, but Tatum's a better.
Tatum can't be up like.
Jalen's a better defender. Yeah. But they both played. This is the thing. Like when people talk about best duos in the league, there's one duo in this league that plays both ends. Yeah. It's Tatum and Brown. Yeah. And that's the thing. They're 6'7" and 6'9", and they play both ends.
I mean, so who would you rather have over Brown?
It's him and Anthony Edwards, to me, are the best two-way guards in the league. And they said this on it's funny, they said on First Take. It's those two.
Yeah. I mean, I've been saying I'd rather have Tatum than anybody for.
Well, they were saying and Brian Windhorst, shame on you. I'd rather have if I'm starting a team tomorrow, if you're drafting Luka Doncic over Jason Tatum, you're an idiot.
Yikes.
You're a fucking idiot. And this is where, and by the way, Windhorst, for all you know, you're a walking hypocrite because you're the one who
just obliterated.
You basically said he was a hole on defense. Jason Tatum is not a hole on defense. Jason Tatum was guarding their center. Yeah. At 6'9" and holding his own. Yeah. And then he was guarding guards.
Then he was guarding Kyrie.
Yeah. What the fuck are you talking about? Luka can't do that shit. I don't. Tatum can do what Luka does on one end, but then he can do on the other what Luka can never do. Yeah. So how are you, if you're building a team tomorrow, are you drafting Tatum or are you drafting Luka? If you're starting a team tomorrow, and they're about the same age, by the way. Tatum turned 26 in March. He was 25 Luka's 25.
Dude, after watching what Brown did to Luka, I'd draft Brown over him too.
I couldn't believe Brian Windhorst was saying this.
Maybe that's.
And the thing is, where I get mad at Stephen A. Smith because how are you not going? Wait a minute, you just called him a hole on defense, and you're going to draft him over Tatum, who's not a hole on defense, who's a very good defensive player, and he gives you 30 and 11 on the other end.
But see, Windy did that too because after he obliterated him, then. Game 4 happened, and again he said, Luka Doncic, the best player in this series.
He's not.
He
never was.
No.
He was the third best player in this series. He was. He was the third best player in this series. He had one game. Mm-hmm. And I said before the series, he'd have one game. Mm-hmm. He had one game where he played both ends. And then when the Celtics just said, all right, we're done with this shit, it was over.
I mean,
it was over.
What would you say it was Tatum, Brown, Luka, White, Holiday or Holiday White?
I'd say Holiday White because Holiday guarded Kyrie primarily, and I'll tell you what, that's why I think Jrue Holiday is a Hall of Famer right now. It wasn't just the crowd; it was that dude on Kyrie Irving. And look, Kyrie was great in Dallas. He was, but they lost the game in Dallas. Mm-hmm. Holiday was great the whole series and made him work. And Holiday won Game 2 for them, by the way. Holiday had 26 points and 11 rebounds in Game 2. Everybody forgets Holiday won Game 2 for them.
Yeah, he was really good.
So he's a Hall of Famer in my book. I said he's the closest thing to Dennis Johnson I've seen since Dennis Johnson. He really is. So Kyrie Irving did not choke.
Nobody choked.
They ran into the best defensive team in this league. The best team in this league, period. Yeah. And to say Kyrie Irving choked, you say that tomorrow morning or today, you don't know basketball. You don't know basketball.
Look at the shots he was forced into.
every shot he took,
dude,
was a
there
tough
was a sequence last night where Derek White locked him down, and he made a shot over him, and Derek White just went.
He's right there.
Like, and you know, and I think the play before it, Derek White made him miss a shot.
Yep.
But he swished like a mid-range jumper, and Derek White was on the shot, like as much as you could be without touching the ball. Derek White just went, damn. You know, they were still up 19, but
a great player is going to make some shots because he's a great player.
Exactly.
But over 40, and I said this to him, over 48 minutes. You know, this goes back to what my father taught me. Make a guy beat you doing what he doesn't want to do for 48 minutes, which I learned from Bill Russell. I heard Bill Russell say this. I'm going to make a guy beat me doing exactly what he doesn't want to do for 48 minutes. Those are Bill Russell's words. Okay? And if you know basketball, the greatest defensive player in the history of the NBA is Bill Russell. Okay? Look at the 20 rebounds he averaged for his career. Everybody talks about Dennis Rodman. Dennis Rodman is a little man's Bill Russell.
Yeah.
He really is. And that's what the Celtics did. So, all right, Kyrie, you're going to make a few of those.
Yeah.
But are you going to make them for 48 minutes over a 7-game series? No, you're not. And that's the thing.
But let me ask you something about defense, because I notice, and this is kind of how I always learned it too. So you teach defense that you stay open to their strong hand so that they attack with their weak hand.
The weak side.
But most guys in the NBA stay open to their weak hand.
How many times have we said there's no defense being played in the NBA?
But do you notice that too?
Yes, that's why
they stay open to the weak hand as if, I'm going to force you there, not realizing, but if they attack, the side that you're not open to, that's their strong side.
You guys don't know who this guy is, but I'm going to give you a little lesson in basketball. Satch Sanders, Satch Sanders, who has 8.
Satch Sanders sounds like a Negro Leagues baseball player.
Tom Satch Sanders, who Don Nelson, Tom Sanders basketball camp. Okay? I was 8 when I went to this camp. Satch Sanders taught me at 8 years old how to play defense. And Satch Sanders was the first great wing defender. Satch Sanders was the one who would make Jerry West have nightmares.
Yeah.
Because he was 6'8". This is back in the 60s, by the way. 6'8" wing defender, okay, with a wingspan, and he taught me.
Who did he play for?
The Celtics.
Oh, okay.
He was it was Russell and him. No one talks about Satch Sanders and the 8 world championship rings he's got because he was the best perimeter defender of the era. No one knows his name. He's a Hall of Famer, by the way. No one knows his name. It's not his fault. No one does. Satch Sanders is the one who taught me how to play defense. And he said, the rule is you attack the front leg. Well, if you're guarding a right-handed player, you slide to their strong side and you make them go left and beat you, taking a pull-up jump shot to their left. And I heard this for 48 minutes. Now, when you're 10 years old or 8 years old, you don't know what 48 minutes means, but that means NBA is 48 minutes. And guess what? You'd be shocked at how few players can do that. And he's talking about the NBA now, over 48 minutes. So the reason I was such a great defender was most coaches don't teach this now, which is why the NBA doesn't play defense.
But see, I didn't even learn offense like that either, because what you're saying is the right way to play offense is whatever side
you attack the front leg.
You attack whatever side they're not giving you, basically.
Yep.
But see, I never learned that either. So if somebody was giving me my strong hand, I would attack that side with my strong hand.
First of all, that's dumb.
I know, but
that's dumb.
But I never learned the other way.
Yeah.
Because I'm thinking, I got an open lane, not realizing, well, that's actually the way they're set up to defend.
They want me going that way.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Because if you think about it, it's very simple. If I'm guarding him, okay, and he's a righty, so I'm going to play him like this, and he's going to if he's going to beat me, he's going to have to go left, which then you drop and slide.
Right.
So he gets maybe 1-2 dribbles.
Gets a little past me.
But then he's got to pull up, and now he's a righty, and he is going up to a jump shot, contested. It's exposed, and now my is right on his shooting
hand is in the shot.
He's going to have to make a contested jump shot. Are you kidding me? You'd be shocked at how few players, even in the NBA, can do this.
Yeah. See, the way I always learned it was like a right-handed player, force them left.
That's not. You can't just force them.
Right,
left.
but so it's like open up to the left.
No.
But really, you're leaving yourself susceptible to their strong hand.
That's the dumbest thing ever.
But that's the way I learned it.
I know.
And I remember when you were teaching it to our kids, my mind was going, what the fuck is he talking about?
And then he saw it.
Right, and then I realized it. But here's the other funny thing. Then I see Gilbert Arenas on a podcast making fun of Isaiah Thomas.
He knows nothing.
Because he goes, I knew those guys didn't know shit when Isaiah Thomas was talking about defense with one hand out, the same way you teach defense. You know, he goes, I knew he didn't know shit.
Oh, quick fact.
I'm thinking about Gilbert Arenas' defense is horrible.
Quick fact check, America.
Yeah.
Isaiah Thomas, second greatest point guard ever. Gilbert Arenas?
0.
And how many rings does he got?
Yeah.
Gilbert Arenas doesn't belong in front of a microphone. He is destroying American basketball. He's destroying it with his idiocy. Because he was never taught the right way how to do it. I was taught by guys that have more rings than Michael Jordan.
But see, that's the crazy thing is like, and you were always like, nobody taught you that? Like talking about shooting. I told you the other night, I didn't know how to shoot until
Dan Melios,
this year.
Who, and I didn't realize Dan had done this, but we were teammates in college, and I forgot. I remember I taught Dan how to shoot in college. Dan was a big bruising kid from Staten Island?
Staten Island. STAT.
Big, tough Italian kid from Staten Island who could go to the basket, and he would play me one-on-one, and I'd shut him out. He couldn't figure out why. I taught him that, but then I taught him how to shoot. And then he teaches his daughter. Now, I didn't know this.
He said he did some of the drills you told
everything
him.
I taught him. He said this when we went live, and he goes, now my daughter's playing Division I at Seton Hall. And he's like, I wanted to thank you for that. I didn't even know he did that. But and then he goes, well, it's funny you say that, because last year he taught me how to shoot.
Yeah. Which is fucking pathetic in a way that I was 41, and you taught me your feet are supposed to be, at an angle so that your elbow is right on.
Yeah, it's right on.
And my biggest problem with my shot has always been
Left to
I
right.
was straight on, and my elbow was out here, so my shot was always.
Yep. You had to
I
try
was
and compensate.
Exactly. Yeah. So it was never consistent.
Yep.
And then I started thinking about all the ways I learned how to play basketball that were just this much wrong, but made me not as good as I could have been.
Basketball is all about it. It's a game of inches.
Every game is.
All you have to do is be 1 inch off.
Right.
That's all it takes. But no, the Celtics, this rendition of the Celtics, run a defense, won a championship because that's how they play defense.
Yeah.
They force you into what you don't want to do. And then you got to try and do it for 48 minutes. And when you've got multiple players that can do that, you're fucked.
Yeah.
You're fucked. So it's not Kyrie Irving's fault. As much as I want to laugh at Kyrie Irving today, I knew what he was up against. Yeah. And I said it before the series. They're not equipped to deal with this team.
Yeah.
They're just not.
I remember before the series started, so when I saw what Dallas did to Minnesota, I was kind of like, all right, this is going to be a series, And then when we sat down and you started saying why Boston
he's going to
should
kill
win
them,
it, I was like, well, going based on that.
Well, and that's without Porzingis.
Right, yeah.
I was going on the assumption he's not going to play.
Yeah.
What happened in Game 1, and this is where Porzingis doesn't get enough credit, he was off for 5 weeks.
And lit that.
In the finals? He's never been in the finals. He comes off the bench after and does that? Listen, I mean, that's that's Hall of Fame shit. That's what that is. You make your bones in the playoffs.
Yeah.
He will tell you this. Every great player, they're remembered for what they do in the postseason. And Porzingis had a performance for the ages after 5 weeks off. That's not, you just don't do that, America.
That was a big game.
That you don't do that. And he did it. Porzingis did it. So, Kyrie Irving, I'm probably always going to be mad at you, but no, I am, because he could have been an all-time great Celtic. But he didn't, and he admits, if I had to do it again, I probably would have approached it differently. He admitted that. He's like, I did it to myself. I'm on the outs with them, and I did it to myself. They'll never, and they probably won't. But he acknowledged it.
But you can kind of let it go because, like,
they won a championship.
Yeah, and now Tatum and Brown are set up. Like, because of the shit they went through, now they're ready to really take off.
Yeah, they are. And look, New York is going to have something to say about this. But believe it or not, I like that because rivalries, styles make fights. And Tibbs has won a championship in Boston. That was he teaches defense like that. It's no coincidence the Knicks play defense the way they do.
Tibbs signed Mo Cheeks.
As an assistant?
As an assistant.
That's a good move.
So that's a
good move.
He's a defensive
He's a
guy,
defensive
right?
guy from Philly who won a championship. That 83 Sixers squad, by the way, one of the greatest teams of all time. No one talks about Dr. J, Moses Malone, 3-time league MVP Moses Malone, by the way.
Moses Malone
Cheeks.
went to Petersburg High School.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Moses Malone does not get talked
40 minutes south of here.
It doesn't get talked about enough for what he did in the NBA. And it's too bad because how many 3-time league MVPs don't get talked about? Because there aren't a lot of them, by the way. But the Knicks play defense like this. And that's because Tibbs coaches like that. And that's why they're going to, if I'm him, I mean, look, the Celtics are there and they're going to be there. But the Knicks are going to be a contender for the foreseeable future because of the way they play. The GM and him are on the same page. They're going to add a couple of pieces.
That's a good GM.
They got to stay healthy. And here's the thing, and then here's my question for you. Or forget Kyrie for a second. But the key to me on this whole thing is if Randall buys in. He's got to buy in. They were close. He's got to buy in.
Well, the thing is, when you look at January, when they had OG
and
Randall, Brunson,
Hart,
they were playing like the best team in the league.
They had the best record in that month.
Yeah,
they did.
I mean, and Randall was playing differently.
Yeah, he was.
He was not just I'm going to do whatever the fuck I want.
Yeah,
he was playing hard the way the whole team plays hard. He was getting dirty, rebounding. So maybe it could happen.
Well. You know, you said on the telecast he was really good last night.
I liked him.
Do you remember what he said at halftime?
Yes. So
just saying.
Well, he was talking about like why Boston.
Because I don't want to sound like Tibbs here, but I'm about
I'm
to.
gonna sound like baby Tibbs. Yeah.
But that's a good sign because he saw it.
Right.
He saw what I saw. Okay, he's like they're doing this,
rebounding. Yep. The second chance points.
They're taking care of the basketball.
Less
they're
turnovers.
They're locking out on the perimeter. They're not giving them. He saw it.
Yeah.
And to me, here's the first thing when it comes to you got to see it first.
Yeah.
The fact that he saw it. Now again, I don't like hearing that because he's a fucking Nick, but he sees it.
Well, yeah. Well, because sometimes you see Julius Randle play, and you wonder where his head is.
Sometimes you do.
So seeing him talk about the game was good last night because it shows he's not just some dumb jock playing the game.
He's learning.
Right. He's
learning. He's like, I'm going to sound like a baby Tibbs here, but facts are facts.
Right. And then the other part I thought was cool was Bob Myers said to him, like, what would the coach say right now in the locker room?
Yeah.
And he goes, well, he'd probably say, look, it's the NBA. We can score in bunches. He said, get it to 10 by the fourth quarter.
Bingo.
And then Lisa
give yourself a chance.
Salters.
Yeah.
Lisa Salters came out when they're starting the third quarter, and Mike Breen throws it to Lisa Salters, and she goes, well, I just talked to Jason Kidd, and he said that in the locker room, he told them, look, get it to 10 by the start of the fourth quarter.
You saw
us a chance, and I was like, "Holy shit!"
Literally
that's what Julius Randle said. And it sounded like the way me and you when somebody's down by big,
get it to 10.
Where do they have to get it by what point?
Where's the number?
Yeah.
And Randle knew this. Like, look, you can't get this back at once. You've got to chip away. Yeah. And the Knicks did this a lot. Because he'd always get on me like, why do they keep starting from behind? I'm like, because they're injured.
Yeah.
They can't. They don't. If Randall was, say the Knicks were 100% healthy with the team with this roster, they could jump out on people. But Randall's at 25 points a game.
Yeah.
Do you know what that means? You can't lose 25. Just take it out of your lineup.
And just expect.
Pick it up. So, and this is where I give Jalen Brunson a lot of credit. I'm like, because he knew that too. Okay, and when he was, and I always said the magic number was 8. When he was getting 8 assists minimum and getting people involved, that I always said Jalen Brunson's got to get to. I know he can score 30. That's not the point. He's got to get everybody else involved.
But it was tough because he didn't have pure scorers.
You can't lose 25 points a game. It's like I said. It's like taking
with Randle on the court. He can get 8 assists.
Yeah, like take Jaylen Brown out of the lineup, and what does that do to the Celtics? Right. It's the same fucking thing. Yeah. So this is why, and I get why he was upset. But Indiana was the best offensive team in the fucking league this year, and you lost 25 points a game out of your lineup, and then you lose your best defensive player. Are you fucking kidding me?
And then you lose Bogdanovich, who's a bench guy that can get 18.
Who's good, who can get you 20 if he off on a given night. So you can't lose that kind of firepower when you're playing against an offense like that.
Then you lose Mitchell Robinson, who can play some defense
So,
down low.
yeah, I mean, the Knicks went as far as they could go. I honestly, I said most teams could not have done what the Knicks did. And I know it falls under the radar because at the end of the day, they weren't there, but that's the biggest. But that's why they weren't there.
Yeah, I know.
Because if they're healthy, they beat Indiana.
Yeah.
Because they could match them offensively, but they could lock them down on defense.
Yeah.
But the fact that Randall at halftime broke this down the way he did, that's not good for me. Okay? Because that tells me he's learning. Shit, he's getting it. He's actually getting it. So if I'm him and I'm hearing them going, oh fuck, this motherfucker might have some hope.
Yeah.
So, but
it's
anyway.
interesting how they had 2 Knicks. Yeah. Because they had Hart in the first couple games.
Gee, I can't imagine why that happened.
Randall. Well, I mean,
that was no accident in America.
New York's kind of a big market.
Boston, New York. Mm-hmm. And by the way, who's the biggest threat to the Celtics next year? It's the Knicks on paper right now. I don't care what anyone says. By the way, but people that are in the know this. Okay, it's Boston and New York 1-2 right now. And again, Philly. There's this talk. I don't know if you heard this because they had Paul George. Mm. If Philly, now I don't know if Philly's going to do this, but I mean, if Philly were to add Paul George, now it's a 3-team race.
Joel was saying no.
Yeah, why?
Maybe it's just because wherever he's gone, like it hasn't really worked out.
That's not. Listen, Paul George was an all-star. Ask Larry Bird about Paul George.
When he was on Indy?
Yeah, Bird loved him because he played both ends. He's a 6'8" wing. Think about this.
Paul George is 6'8".
He's 6'8".
Damn.
If Philly were to add him with Maxey and Embiid, now again, health is a big problem. But George though has been pretty durable.
Yeah,
he's been pretty durable.
Leg that time.
That was the one time. Normally he's the one. Kawhi is the one that can't stay healthy. But like if you're tough. A Philly and Boston is because Boston's your mark, you got to get a 6'8" wing who can play defense and score.
Yeah,
and that's Paul George. Mm-hmm.
But Embiid's got to stay healthy too.
But on that team, if they're healthy, he can be a 3.
Yeah.
He could be a good 3 with them and makes them legit. Again, Joel, I love you, but listen, that dude plays on both ends of the floor. And at Philly, he could be a 3. He doesn't have to be your 1. You've got your 1. You've got your 1A. You need another guy who on one end can guard one of these 2 fucking, Tatum or Brown. Because you feel you're thinking Boston, just like New York, you're thinking Boston. Yeah. How do I beat them? You got to get a 6'8" wing.
Yeah.
Who can defend and score. That's Paul George.
Yeah.
And at this stage of his career, because you've already got Maxey, he doesn't have to be the 1.
Yeah.
He was the 1 in Indy when he was there, but he was younger.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't understand where Joel's going with this. But, I mean, again, he's looking at the Clippers, and they fell apart.
And he's also thinking he's older, but...
Well, it's a small window. It's probably 2-3 years.
Yeah, but you're not going to get a 24-year-old wing.
There aren't a lot of 6'8" wings that can do what Paul George does, if we're being honest. I mean, so the Knicks have a couple of them. If, Randall's 6'9"?
Yeah, I think he's 6'9".
He's a legit 6'9". Anunoby's 6'7". He's a big body. Anunoby's 6'7". Mm-hmm. Hart's about 6'7", somewhere in there.
No, he's 6'4".
He's only 6'4"?
Hart plays big.
Yeah,
but
does.
Well,
he had doubles.
Hart's not Paul George.
No, he's not. But defensively?
He's all effort, Josh Hart.
But that's defense.
I know.
He's perfect.
That's why he's great.
Yeah. And so I mean, if you're Philly and you're trying to compete with New York and Boston, you name me another 6'8" wing who can do that.
Yeah.
It's him.
I would love Josh Hart to really work on his shot. Well, because he hit some big threes against Philly. Like, he hit a lot of big shots. He hit the clincher, really, in the last game.
He did.
When Brunson passed to him.
Yes, he did.
And he hit that.
He's a guy, we've talked about this. He can make the 3. He's not a knockdown shooter. I don't know if he'll ever be a knockdown shooter, but can he be a better 3-point shooter than he is?
I think he can.
Yeah, he can.
Yeah.
Yeah, he can. And I think if you got that squad, again, to his point, they still need a center.
They can't. They don't have a scorer down low, which would be nice.
You need a guy that the 2 guys they got can defend.
Yeah, and Hartenstein can get you some points.
You still think they're going to lose him?
Hartenstein?
Yeah.
I think somebody's going to pay him. He showed a lot of versatility. I think somebody might make him an offer.
I didn't say he wasn't good. I think he is good. But the thing is, the teams that are going
to... how much would somebody actually give him? With
the salary cap going up...
Yeah.
I mean, can he... But the Knicks salary cap is going to go up. I mean, who do the Knicks got to sign? They got to sign Anunoby, right?
Anunoby.
Yeah.
They're talking about, negotiating with Brunson.
Yep.
Because Brunson, while they don't have to pay him.
No, but he's outplayed his contract. He's outplayed his contract.
Yeah.
Already, he's done that. Yeah.
And they were talking about him taking a deal now, which would be worth less money than if he waited. If he does that, he will be beloved forever. He already will be.
Well,
and I don't think I wouldn't hate him if he didn't.
Let me say this, and again, it's the Celtics segment, but again, we're looking at the Celtics competition right now, and these guys are legit competition, trust me. If I'm Jalen Brunson and the team is building around me, which, let's be honest, the Knicks are building around him. I mean, I would say, look, if you do this now, and you can win the championship, and you're going to get paid, he's going to get a raise. Right. But it's not to the point where it breaks the bank. It enables them to go get these guys. Yeah. Brunson's a smart kid. And also, he knows the Knicks love him. Mm-hmm. So, and I know how his dad thinks. So I don't think he's going to go, I want 100 and whatever it is a year. Yeah. No, he's not going to do that. I don't think he'll do that. Yeah. And if they say to him, look, if you do this, we can do this, this, and this, and then you have a shot to beat Boston. Yeah, I think he'd do it because that city loves him. And New Yorkers like Boston. If they love you, you're immortalized. Okay, that was a very large bug. Anyway.
Well, that's the thing about Brunson that I've been saying is like, I know there's better players than him. I wouldn't want anybody but
There's not a lot.
I know, but even though there are, like, I know Tatum's better than Brunson, but like
he's top. Tatum right now is the best player in the world.
I know.
I don't care what people say about Jokic.
I'd still rather have Brunson just because I love the type of guy he is.
Yeah, he's
love the type of player he is.
Cagey.
Yeah.
Seasoned.
He's like the guy that
grizzled.
You just want to root for.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't look like a superhuman athlete. But he finds a way to beat superhuman athletes.
He is fundamentally very good. As someone who prided himself on fundamental, he is fundamentally, he's there. Yeah. He's there. Anyway, lastly, tonight, by the way, again, last time, kudos to the Celtics. 18 questions arise. Questions put away.
For you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. You don't have to be, but I appreciate it.
I'm happy for Brown and Tatum a lot.
Well, they
good for them.
They earned it.
Yeah.
They literally earned it, and they've grown up before our eyes. And like I said, they actually all this crap about trying to split them up, that's got to be put to bed for now, for good, forever. They can win. They've won. They've done.
Joel was saying they were going to sign Tatum.
$315 million.
$315.
Yep.
Good for him.
No, he won a championship, and he's top 5. And look, you and I both said this. He's the best one-on-one player in the world.
No doubt.
And if there was ever a doubt, and I got scared, I'll be honest with you. I got scared because he said something before Game 5 that I've never heard a player say before. But look, Tom was right.
It was kind of true, man.
No, Tom was right about this. I have to give Tom his flowers. Tatum's never going to be. He's not going to get angry. Not that he won't get angry, but he gets angry in a different way, and that's okay because it works for him.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's who he is.
It's who he is, and but again, he's found a way to make it work. He did what he had to do to get this team over the top. He played more like Larry Bird than I've ever seen anyone in that uniform play like Larry Bird. And Larry Bird's my favorite player of all time, him and Dennis Johnson. So I'm going to love Tatum. I always loved Tatum, but now he's immortalized now. But, Tom was right. He's not going to be that. Jaylen Brown is more like that.
Yeah.
And that's great. You got to have a guy like that. Yeah, he gets mad. Like, I want that motherfucker. I got him. That's more like me, okay? That's fine. But Tatum has found this happy medium that works for him. And it works for them. And that's what matters. Because that's what makes it work. And Brown alluded to this guy, I can't speak about the sacrifices and the unselfish. He doesn't care. He doesn't care. He wants to win. And that's a Celtic. And that's what Tatum is. Forever now. He's a Celtic. He's a Celtic for, I don't care where he goes or ever leaves. He's a Celtic forever now because he put a banner up. And hopefully it's not the only one. But I will say this. Their ceiling, they haven't hit it. And they're just entering their prime. So if they continue with this mindset, they can be a dynasty. They can. I'm not saying they will. They can. But Jason Tatum, I owe you an apology. I was tough on you. It wasn't unwarranted, by the way, because you kind of asked for it. But you earned it. And this is the thing. You earned it. Okay. My brother Pete and I'm like, Pete, you don't get a participation trophy for showing up. Okay. Tatum didn't just show up. He put his stamp on this series. He put his stamp on this franchise, and his number's going to go up one day, and he's got the ring. And once you do that, from now on, you will get some get-out-of-jail-free cards that you wouldn't have got before, because now I know you can cross the finish line. But that's Boston. You got to show me you can do it.
You get the benefit of the doubt.
You will now, because you've proven you can do it. And that's all Boston was ever asking for. Show me you can do it, and I'll cut you some slack. No, because he should have done it already.
Yeah.
But he did it. He did it.
Yeah.
Okay, so, and he didn't cop out. He went to the bat. 31-11. By the way, he's the only Celtic ever in a finals game, and that includes Larry Bird, to go 30 and 10 assists.
I was hoping he'd get a couple more rebounds, just so that it was a triple-double, you know?
Yeah, it would have been nice.
But I mean, that's one hell of a stat line.
It's an incredible stat line.
In a
closeout game. After he said what he said, just scared the shit out of me. Going, well, if we lose, it ain't the end of the world. Like, a Celtic would never say that.
But see, here's the crazy part. Like, thinking logically, he's right. Because
it wasn't about logic.
I know. But, like, and that's the thing about him is, like, he remains kind of even keeled no matter what.
He needs to be, I think you called it his comfort zone.
Well, it's like a calm. It's like a peaceful, he needs to be focused and not thinking about all the bullshit. Mm-hmm. When he's like that, it seems like that's when he's at his best.
I can news to you. Last night, Jason Tatum was the best player in the world. And I mean that sincerely. I'm not knocking Jokic. I love Jokic's game. I'm not knocking Doncic or any of the other guys that are up there, or Giannis. But in a closeout game, 31, 11, and 9, and again, he still didn't shoot great. That's the scary part. What if he shoots great? What if he's on? Okay, when you're off and you go 31, 11, and 8, you're great. There's no way around it. So Jason Tatum, you from now on, you will get the benefit out because you now have done what I needed to see you do.
Yeah.
Okay, and you did it and you earned it. So you want to go tell me and everybody else to fuck off? Go right ahead. Okay, you can do that. You're allowed now. You're allowed. Okay,
dude. And think about it. Like every time he had one of those press conferences, because he had one in every series.
Yeah, I did.
Where we came here and you were like, why did he say that?
I don't know.
And that because he did it against, it was either the Heat or the Cavs. When he was like, everybody thinks we're supposed to be some super team, and we're never going to lose a game, and that's
super
just not
teams
the reality.
lose games, they don't lose series.
Right. But remember, like when he said the thing, like, and we're like, God, why did he have to say that?
I don't know.
But then the next game they won. It's like
you said, they went from crapping themselves to wetting themselves, and then they catch themselves. So
they clean up.
No one sees the mess. They have graduated.
Yeah.
And they're now going to have a bullseye on their back, which I don't think is going to be as bad as, because they've now done it.
Yeah.
They've now done it. So enjoy this. We're not going to talk. We'll talk about next year at a later date and repeat all that shit. But what I would hope is that Tatum, Brown, and that whole team, Porzingis, Horford, God knows Horford deserved it. 17 years. I mean, Drew Holiday.
186 games.
186 games. Drew Holiday left for dead. Derek White. People were laughing at Stevens for that move. All of them.
Drew Holiday traded to Portland.
Yeah. Talk about
Stevens
exile.
Said, no, thank
Talk
you.
about exile. Brad Stevens. This was a true. They are a team. And they should be celebrated because this is the definition of a team. And I don't think they're going anywhere. So I congratulate them. Now you have my undying love because now you've put a banner up there. And the best of all, and I want to end with this, Laker Nation right now is throwing up all over Southern California. Magic Johnson, by the way, proved I'm right when he said, and I can't stand the fact that they have more championships than us. Magic, newsflash, they always had more championships than you because you won 5 in 2 time zones away. You got 12, not 17. Get it right, Magic. Get it right. Okay? So for the redoubtable one himself, Thomas J. is a highly questionable one. You guys enjoy the week. We will be back. What's it, Tuesday? Friday? Friday night?
Yeah.
Friday
we
night.
should be back Friday.
Friday night, we will be...
That's the day of the parade.
The parade is Friday, yeah. But we will be updating... I can't believe I'm going to say this. We will have a Major League Baseball update. The New York Mets have won 7 in a row. The Red Sox are apparently sick of being 500, and they're both in the wild card race. I can't believe I'm saying this. we might have something to talk about for 6
We'll see what
weeks.
happens.
We'll see what happens.
R.I.P. Willie Mays.
Yes, lastly, Willie Mays,
One of the
93
best
years
ever do it.
old, arguably the greatest baseball player ever. And if you think I'm nuts, 24 All-Star games, 12 gold gloves. That's called both ways, boys and girls. MVP award, he did it all. Willie Hayes, who, and by the way, he was one of the guys that broke the barrier. He was one of the guys that did that.
Yeah.
So he, again, like Bill Russell, he went through shit. He fought a battle that these guys will never have to fight. And he's one of the reasons why they'll never have to fight it. So RPI, Willie Hayes. This is Willie Mays. This is getting too much. Jerry West, Ham, Bill. We're losing.
Maybe that was the trifecta. It's usually the three, right?
Three great ones. And again,
My dad always said Willie Mays is the best player he ever saw play.
and he has a legitimate argument. Okay, he really does.
You
So
talk about 5 tools:
I think he invented the term.
hit for average, hit for power, run,
Yeah.
throw. Defense.
Willie Mays, Godspeed. You are an icon forever. And you were one of the ones that broke the mold and started to change everything. And we are forever as a society in your debt. So, tip of the cap to you. For the Redoubtable One, Thomas James, Highly Questionable One, we will see you guys Friday. Friday will be a lot more fun because no one has to work on Saturday. But we will update you on baseball, WNBA, Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, round 3 this weekend. That should be fun.
This coming weekend?
This coming weekend.
Jeez, they just had.
I know. It's
Wow.
going to be in Chicago. This should be.
We
will get into
I
that.
hope Caitlin just keeps winning.
I hope so too. I'm becoming more of a fan.
And my God, Angel Reese.
We'll talk about it Friday. But no, he's right. I know where he's going. Save it for Friday.
Some people have a special whistle.
We'll talk about it Friday because right now I'm in a good mood. You're not ruining my night, Angel. You're not ruining my night. Okay.
End it with the Say Hey Kid.
The Say Hey Kid. We'll miss you. Godspeed, Mr. Mays. Okay. Willie Mays. Willie Mays Hayes. Willie Mays.
Willie Mays Hayes.
Hey, he's an icon.
Major League.
You know you've made it when you're in movies. Okay. So you guys enjoy the week. We will see you on Frothel Friday. Until then, boys and girls.
Frothel.
Congratulations, Boston Celtics. 18.
Yes.
Love you. Tatum and Brown.
Seas.
Love you both. See you then.